The Sydney Harbour Bridge is one of Australia's most famous landmarks. The bridge was opened to traffic on the 19th of March 1932 and was built as a crossing over the harbour, linking the city centres in the south and the residential areas in the north. Prior to the construction, the only way to get across the harbour was by a ferry or by a 20-kilometre road route. The bridge is one of the largest arch bridges in the world, measuring in at 1,149 metres in length, 134 metres high, and 49 metres wide, and has more than 160,000 vehicles crossing the bridge each day, rising from approximately 11,000 vehicles in its opening year. Ideas for the bridge began long before its completion in 1932. The earliest known idea coming from Francis Greenway in 1815, and the earliest recorded drawing for the bridge design by Peter Henderson in 1857. In 1900, a competition was called by the government for design tenders of the Harbour Bridge. This is where civil engineer John Job Crew Bradfield became involved. In 1913, Bradfield became Chief Engineer for Metropolitan Railway Construction and the Chief Engineer of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. In 1922, Bradfield went overseas to investigate tenders for the bridge. The bridge was intended to be a cantilever bridge, but on his visit overseas, Bradfield was inspired by the Arch Bridge, Hell's Gate Bridge, in New York, which would become the main influence for the final design of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, with very few differences between the two. By the 16th of January 1924, the final designs for the Harbour Bridge were in, and Bradfield led a 4-week assessment of more than 20 tenders, concluding with a published document, Sydney Harbour Bridge Report on Tenders. There were areas of criteria that the final design must meet, including the bridge should be simple to erect and safe at all stages of erection, the cost should be reasonable, consistent with engineering and economic aspects, appearance and suitability for railway traffic. All of these were met by Dorman Long & Co.'s design, which would become the design for the Harbour Bridge as it is today. Since its construction, the Sydney Harbour Bridge has become one of the great engineering designs and was declared an International Historic Civil Engineers Landmark. However, this does not mean the bridge comes without its flaws. The bridge undergoes constant maintenance work with a group of almost 100 employees on site full-time. This work consists of painting the bridge, some areas undergoing new paint jobs as often as every 5 years. This is done to avoid rust build-up. However, as it is such a large job, repainting has failed to keep up with the environmental conditions the bridge is put under, and has resulted in large sections having rusted. The road on the bridge must also undergo resurfacing and waterproofing to prevent water penetrating the slab and the steel troughing underneath, which acts as permanent framework. If this happens, corrosion of reinforcing and permanent framework and sudden asphalt failure can occur. Some of the over 6 million rivets used in the construction also need replacing, as each rivet now has variable load bearing and surface qualities, and some of the rivets have started to pop. This maintenance is done at a growing annual budget of approximately $20 million as of 2015, up from approximately $15 million a year in 2010. Considering these issues, the Sydney Harbour Bridge must be well maintained to preserve the structure and keep it as one of the most iconic engineering landmarks in the world. To do this, the government must continue to allocate sufficient funds to the project. Radical changes and improvements could also be made, including new supports and joining of the bridge. The use of welding instead of rivets could help to strengthen the joints and stop the ability of water to seep in and affect the paintwork and corrosion of the steel. Also, to assist with the growing traffic in Sydney, widening the bridge or creating a second tier to allow for more lanes of traffic to cross would not only improve the bridge, but also improve the traffic situation for the city it serves. To do this, however, strengthening projects would have to be implemented first to make sure the bridge could support the added weight. This could even be as drastic as demolishing the current structure and building a new one with stronger materials and supports. Although something should be done to improve the current state of the bridge, demolition should be avoided to maintain the International Historic Civil Engineering landmark, and all efforts should be made to improve and strengthen the current iconic structure.